Welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast, a podcast for creatives. I'm your host, Tammy Takeishi. Join me for compelling conversations with artists, actors, authors, musicians, and other creatives about the impact of the creative and fine arts in their lives and our ever-changing world. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome to Creative Piecemeal Podcast. I'm really excited to have Dan Issawi back on the show. He is a fellow podcaster and a musician. He rocks on guitar. Today we're talking about one of our favorite bands, Muse. And hello and welcome to the show again.
Hello, Tammy. Thank you very much for, as always, a wonderful introduction. Yes, less podcaster, less musician at the moment because of work, but yes, thank you.
But still a huge Muse fan, so that's what counts.
No, absolutely. Today that is what counts. I'm very excited. I feel honored to be picked for the Muse special as such. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I would love to know, and I'll tell you my first song as well, but what is the very first song that you ever heard from Muse?
I actually don't remember. I think it might have been. It was definitely something off Origins of Symmetry. I think it was Plug-in Baby. No, it was Plug-in Baby.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's be honest, that riff. It's just a classic riff, really. And I think it typifies what I believe Muse was at the start, because they kept that sort of heavy, that riff, those big riffs, early. I think that was the first tour I'd actually seen them. I vaguely remember seeing them on the Showbiz tour, but I'm not sure. I don't know whether I made that up in my head. I don't have any evidence of that. But yes, Plug-in Baby would be the first song. And
Nice.
then they did that Nina Simone cover, Feeling Good, off the album, which is good as well.
That's a really good version.
I mean, I would argue it's better than the original. There's a lot of songs out there that are as good or better than the original. I would argue that's one of them.
It is really great.
Yeah, no, I really like Origins of Symmetry as an album. I think if you look from the start of the list of, Newborn, Bliss, Space Dementia, Hyper Music, and then you go to Plug-in Baby, and then you got Citizens Erased, and then it goes a little bit. I think Microcuts and Screenager are two songs that are a little bit less, I would say, popular. And then you go to sort of Dark Shines, which is a good song, and then Feeling Good, and then Megalomania and Futurism, I think, is the last one. Yes, it is. I'm pretty sure. You'll have to check that on the albums.
I'll have to look, but yeah, that's amazing that you can remember all that.
I don't think I remember the rest. I remember Absolution as well, but no, the rest I don't remember all the albums. But yeah, that was a good album.
It's definitely in my top half of their albums, because they really, it's hard for them to really do a bad album, like quote unquote bad. But the very first, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say, I think the top two albums are 100%. Without question, Absolution and Origins of Symmetry. And I think, personally, depending on how I'm feeling, they flip between one and two. I will argue with anyone, you included, that those are the best two albums that they've ever written. And they literally, I think they exemplify what Muse is. I would argue that their newest album, Will of the People, is brilliant and is amazing, and it's worthy of certainly being in their top 5. But Drones, the album that they did, not the last one, the last before, that was amazing. That was really good. And then obviously Uprising. Sorry, not Uprising. Black Holes and Revelations. That album, I think, made them really super massive. I think that was when they were playing they played 3 nights at Wembley, and they played all over the world, and they were just huge. And I think that was their mix of when they went a little bit more radio as well, a little bit less heavy, a little bit more anthems. And so I would say that that's certainly third or fourth, if depending on how you're feeling. But yeah.
It is really good. It is really, really good. I mean, like, fantastic. The very first song that I heard from them was Time Is Running Out off of Absolution.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the US, and so I think it took a while for them to get sort of popular and on the radio over here, whereas you being from the UK, you had the advantage of hearing all of their early stuff and seeing them in the early days.
I think Time Is Running Out was the first single off that as well. I'm not entirely sure if that was it was either the first or second single off the Absolution album, and the bass line, you know, the it's very catchy, you know, and it's a great song. And I think when you listen that whole album, I don't think has a bad song on it. It really doesn't have a bad song. You know, even the intro, that grand piano, it comes in and it's massive, and then it breaks into Apocalypse Please. You know,
so good.
And the whole storyline behind it is really good. One of my favorite songs off that album actually is the Small Print. It's number 11 or 12. It's quite far down the bottom of the album. But the
number 11, number 11. Look, I have my original CD.
Oh, you got the original copy. Okay.
Yeah, this is a 20-year-old album.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's play a game. Let's guess the album track. Okay. So it goes intro.
Yes.
Apocalypse Please.
Mm-hmm.
Time Is Running Out.
Yep.
Sing for Absolution.
Yep.
Stockholm Syndrome, which is an absolute banger of a track.
Amazing. So good. So
the
good.
Riff on that is unreal. And then it's Interlude. No. It's either Interlude or Falling Away With You.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Falling Away With You, and then Interlude.
Then it's Hysteria. Yeah, because it goes. Yeah, it is. It's Falling Away With You, Interlude, Hysteria. Then it's Blackout.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Butterflies and Hurricanes.
Epic.
Then it's The Small Print. Then it's Endlessly. Then it's Thoughts of a Dying Atheist. And then it's Ruled by Secrecy. And then to give it, to give it the UK bonus track, Fury. You need to find that song. It's very good.
Yeah, I heard it because I didn't want to chance playing my ancient CD. So to prep for this, I listened on YouTube Music and I heard Fury and I'm like, I don't remember this, but I love it. And now I'm really jealous and I'm going to need you to track one down for me and mail it.
I will. I'll have to. There's another bonus track off Black Holes and Revelations. And I forgot the name of it. And I'm not sure if it's... Yes. Hold on a second.
I've got the discography here. I don't know.
Let me Google. Yes. It's called Glorious. You've got to listen to Glorious off Black Holes and Revelations.
Okay.
A very good song. But it's after Nights of Sidonia, so I think that's the reason why people just go, I'm finished now with the album. Because you can't beat Nights of Sidonia. That's got to be one of their, or Nights of Sidonia has got to be one of their best songs ever.
It is really good, but I feel like that's when I hate to say, this is going to sound so pretentious,
Easy.
but like, it's going to sound so bad. I feel like if you weren't a fan, like if you joined the Muse bandwagon at night because of Nights of Sidonia, like you have to, like that's, like you're like, you're not like a fan. You have to be a fan before that song.
No, you talk about that. There's a lot of people that follow bands when they got big. So it's going slightly off track here. A band like My Chemical Romance, where they got really big through that I'm Not Okay period. But they had like 3 albums before that, supposedly. And then they had the Black Parade, and then they got big. You know, like, I think they actually... Muse supported it does tie in. It does tie in because My Chemical Romance supported Muse with the Black Parade on the Black Holes and Revelations tour at Wembley.
I loved Black Parade.
And it was a good album. And I remember seeing them. They did the Saturday. Did they do the Saturday? Because, yes, they did the Saturday along with Biffy Clyro. No, hold on a second. I've got to get this right. At Wembley, they did 2 nights or 3 nights. One support was Biffy Clyro. One support was My Chemical Romance. And then I remember seeing a band called Shy Child. They were like this little band. It's weird how you remember all these things. I'm trying to think who else the support was. Yeah, that was it.
Well, let me clarify. I'm not saying like people who joined at Nights at Sidonia aren't true fans. I'm just saying like you got to go back. You got to look at the history of the band and listen to the early albums to really, really appreciate where they got to and where they went to, you know?
Yeah. No, I understand. And I think, again, like any band, the sound develops over years. Mm-hmm. And I think if you listen to, say, let's go right back to the start with Showbiz and their first album, and if you listen to The Second Law and Showbiz, I think you'd struggle to hear that they are the same band in a lot of ways.
I feel like Second Law is their quote unquote weakest album.
I would definitely agree with that one. That or Simulation Theory. Because Simulation Theory is a real, like, they went very electronic. There was not a lot of guitar based. They did Pressure, and they did Pressure, Get Up and Fight. And then they did that Dig Down song off that album.
Dig Down. I remember.
It was like I'm always trying to think of what that was. It was like an 80s electronic.
Yeah, they had a lot of 80s stuff. I went to their Simulation Theory tour, but they played like older stuff too then, which was really nice.
I'll be honest with you. I have seen them pretty much on every single tour, bar Simulation Theory and Will of the People, the latest album, because of my location. I really wanted to go and see them on this latest tour. But such is life. Missed it.
I got to be front row in one of their early tours. It may have been for Absolution? I feel like it was for Absolution, which was the most amazing thing.
Yeah, no, that would have been amazing. And Matt, they're all such great musicians as well.
So good. So good. I'm pretty sure it was Absolution, but he had played, trying to remember when I went. So Black Holes and Revelations may have just come out at the time.
Black Holes and Revelations was, I will tell you, 2006. Yes, about right.
I'm trying to remember when I went.
It's got to be because this is 20th anniversary.
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe it was Absolution. I don't remember. I was really, really young. And I went with a friend from work. And it was at this place in Kansas City, which I honestly don't remember what it was called, but it was this really cool old theater. It had a standing room section and then, just seats. It was, like a theater, like plays theater, not, and maybe 1,000, 2,000 people total in this venue. It was intimate. And because I'm short, I was shoved right up against the front gate. So it was just front gate, access, stage section, stage, them. It was amazing. But this was like pre-smartphone days. So maybe it was the Absolution tour.
The times we actually have to pay attention to a band and not record the whole friggin' thing on a phone.
I may have had like one of those disposable cameras. I mean, like, this is seriously like how old it was. But it was amazing. It was the most amazing thing ever. And then I saw them several years ago in Houston at a big stadium, and that was also amazing, but it was a different kind of amazing.
I would argue that Muse are probably they're made for amazing arenas. They fill an arena and they play it like they should.
They do very well.
Their show is amazing. They just do a show. They do a great show, And actually, if you saw him off Absolution, here is a fun fact. Matt Bellamy broke a record for smashing the most amount of guitars on that on that tour, it's 140.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I'd have to find my ticket stub, and I'll have to let you know, because I don't
That's what
remember.
annoys me about everything digital now as well. There's no ticket. You used to get excited when, you'd pick up your ticket from the box office, or the ticket had come through the post, and you're like, yes, it's here. I'm going.
Yep.
And I go to Manchester Academy, or Manchester Academy 2, or even worse, Manchester Academy 3, which is this tiny venue in Manchester, obviously. It's part of the student union, which I've actually played in some of my bands as well. Go me. Unsigned, don't worry. No, nothing big. Not that big. But it's still fun to play these venues, proper venues, proper music. I do like the smaller venues.
It was just so cool to hear them and literally be able to, like 10 feet away or so. It was just phenomenal.
No, I think whenever you do get front row in any gig, it's always exciting to see your superstars up front, and then you just that is amazing. It's very good. I'm a bit jealous. I never really liked being at the front for gigs anyway. I didn't like being squashed.
Yeah, I was a little squished, but I was like, it was totally worth it. Yeah. Totally worth it. And I will never be able to get that close to Muse again, ever. Like, that's just never going to happen.
Not since the invention of the Golden Circle ticket. Which is...
That sounds horrible.
It's just expensive. I think the industry has changed in 20 years. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. I mean, people don't even buy. Do people even buy CDs anymore? I feel so ancient.
I think people do still buy CDs. I think people almost feel a little bit nostalgic. I still feel nostalgic. If I really, really love a band, I will still buy their CD. So I bought Will of the People on CD. I did buy it on CD just because I love Will of the People. I think it's a great album.
Well, I don't own it anymore, but it was at one point purchased.
Oh, okay. R.I.P. Will of the People.
That's right. So going track by track. Okay. Apocalypse, Please. Wow. Talk about an opener for an album, right?
Yeah. I actually think I know the lyrics to all of the songs off here. Or a lot of the lyrics anyway.
Yes. I was surprised how much I remembered, because it's been a very long time since I've listened to this one.
Yeah.
Like years.
Slightly off topic. I went to see a film yesterday. A film about the GameStop share crash.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that film. It looked so good.
Yeah, it's quite good. Dumb Money. It was good. And the opening song was WAP by Cardi B, I think it is. It is such a terrible song. It is woeful. It is abysmal. Like, I don't even know why anyone would listen to such absolute tripe, right? And let me just go and hold on a second. It's had 1.2 billion plays on Spotify. What is wrong with people?
Would it make you feel better if you knew that Spotify barely pays people?
Yeah, but she will get a lot from that. She'll get hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. 1.2 billion is a colossal amount of 0.001 piece. And if she's in a 360 deal where she gets everything, she'll make a colossal amount of money from, it's not Cardi B. It's Megan Thee Stallion. It's just a terrible song. Terrible song. Sorry. Anyway, back to Muse. Apocalypse, Please, absolute banger of a song. It's grand. It's got the grand piano. I think it really shows off Matt Bellamy's voice. Declare this an emergency. So it's very anthemic, and it's a great song. Really good.
I was telling someone about this, doing this podcast. And I was like, I don't know if you're familiar with Muse, but if you have to listen to this album, and you have to listen to it in order. Like, you have to go in order.
It's a story.
It is. Yeah. It is. Like, you cannot skip one. You can't go out of order, and you got to listen to it loud. There's only one way to listen to Muse, and it's loud.
and preferably uninterrupted would be my argument.
Mm-hmm.
See, I listened to this album yesterday again, just in preparation for this, and it's just very good. It's just it's just a brilliant album.
Phenomenal.
It's moved back to number 1 today.
Today it's number 1. Yeah, it's so good. I'm surprised my CD even works, because I would take it from my car. This was back in 2002.
When we used to attach cables to cars in CD players.
Yeah. Well, I had a legit CD player installed.
Oh, okay. So you actually had a CD player. Yeah. You didn't have one of those things where you push a tape in, which connected to a manual CD player.
No, thank you.
See, kids don't know today the luxury of Bluetooth and Spotify and just being able to press a button. You know, the faff that I used to have to listen to a CD in the car because I only had a tape player for the first year. Painful.
I know, the struggle. The struggle was
real,
is real,
kids. The struggle is real, kids.
Back in 2002.
If you're under 20 now, you have no idea how easy you have it in terms of technology. Even waiting for a CD. Right. You couldn't search about it on the internet. You had to wait until a magazine released it. Kerrang! Magazine or NME in the UK or Classic Rock Magazine gave you an article on a new album, and then you're like, oh my God, they're writing a new album.
Yo. It was ridiculous. I would literally listen to this nonstop from the car to my CD player in my bedroom in the house.
I think I burnt mine out.
And then Ian take it, and then the next day you take it back out to the car, and just over and over and over.
Just on repeat. It's a great album. It's worthy of on repeat. So yeah. I
remember once showing this album to my mom in the car, and I was shocked that she liked it.
I took my parents to see. We went to see Muse on the Uprising tour at Liverpool, the Liverpool Arena, Liverpool Echo Arena. It's not called that anymore. It's called the M&S Bank Arena, I think. Now, I could be wrong. Might have changed again. But it's a smaller. It's about 12. I think it's only about 12 or 13,000 people. It's not as big as the Manchester, which is like 18, 19. It's big. I can just remember them both really enjoying Muse and really enjoying it. But I remember that whenever the heavier stuff come on, I'm like, oh, it's quite heavy, this. Very heavy, you know? It's like, this isn't heavy, but this is good.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
So, Apocalypse. And I also like the halfway through it, this like, I don't know what it is, like a synth, like middle 8 almost, where he does like a harmony over it. It's just a really good song, you know? Mm-hmm. And then again, he closes with the grand piano, the ding 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 ding. So it's just very good.
I'm going to go a smidge out of order for a second and talk about that bonus track that I literally heard today for the first time, which is Fury. And during the chorus, or what appears to be the chorus, there's this very soft but echoey, resonant guitar line. And I'm like, wow, like that makes that song for me.
The funny thing I can always remember about Fury and, again, Glorious off Black Holes and Revelations, it's bonus tracks. You can see why they're just bonus tracks and they don't have them on the full album. Part of me doesn't think Fury quite fits on Black Holes and Revelations.
Well, yeah, it doesn't fit the story.
On Absolution. Yeah.
It doesn't fit the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so good, just on its own, like its own standalone song.
No, absolutely. I do like Fury. It's definitely an underrated song. I don't know it as well. I'm actually struggling to hear it now in my head again. It's gone. I keep getting Glorious in my head.
I'll have to look that one up. I hate that there are songs that I didn't know even existed by Muse because I didn't have.
If you have any of the major streaming applications, which I won't name for legal reasons, if you go and dig into if you actually go in there into the singles, joking aside, if you go into the singles, you'll find a lot of the songs that they released as B-sides for singles back way back when CDs were a thing or main thing. People used to release, and obviously people used to release singles. So I think if you go back, you'll find there's a lot of good stuff in there, like really odd tracks that you might have only ever heard once. same with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, they released an incredible amount of music, like thousands and thousands, like thousands of songs. There's a lot of B-sides, a lot of stuff that you probably will not have heard of a lot. And it's all there. It's all there for you to listen to.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to explore that for sure.
Explore it. I'll send you a list.
Yes, please. So track 2, Time Is Running Out. I can definitely see why they picked this as their first single and why it was so commercial.
Yeah.
It's super approachable, super catchy, and taken out of context of the story of the album, it still makes sense as a song.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was the video was like them in like a bunker type thing, and obviously the camera's panning round. Just going ever so slightly, little bit back, the run from Apocalypse Please, where it ends, the piano finishes and it goes into that bass line. I would argue that 2 great bass lines on this album. I'm going to skip forward. Hysteria and Time Is Running Out. And it's like Muse, Chris Wollstonehome bass lines are just like, they're just so memorable. Like so really good. Memorable, to the point of where I love playing Muse bass lines, even though I'm not very good at them. So a lot of them are quite complex, but some of them are just really catchy and just really fun to play, you know? And yeah, I think it was they're certainly off after Showbiz, which isn't very commercial at all, and Origins of Symmetry, which has a very smidge of commercial play in there with Feeling Good, I think. This is their first really commercial song, I would say, that's for wider audience. It's radio rock. It certainly would have got plays in America. I think it would have got plays in the UK as well. But yeah, no, a really great song, just really catchy.
I like how in this album, most of the songs just glide into the next one. I mean, in not necessarily with like the same chord or key or whatever, but just literally one track runs into the other.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I've just read something here. Sorry, I've cheated a little bit. Time Is Running Out, the second single. The first single was Stockholm Syndrome.
What? Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
Then that must have not gotten play in the US.
Stockholm Syndrome's very heavy. I don't believe, like, I think that's a hardcore song.
It is so good though. I forgot how heavy it was until I listened. I was like, oh yeah. Yeah. Like they really rock on that one.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does.
I really like how they kind of alternate, like some of the songs you get really, really heavy and deep, and then they slow it down with like Butterflies and Hurricanes or Falling Away with You. But even with all of those, there's still very rock elements in them, but it sort of gives your brain a break and just like you can have a breather, you know?
Yeah, no, it does. The great thing about Absolution is it is a bit of a, obviously got Time Is Running Out, which is a great song. And then after that, you're going to Sing for Absolution, which again is another piano-driven song. And it's very slow. I'm trying to think. I'm sure there was a video for that one of them like in space. I don't know if I made that up.
I wouldn't know. I don't watch music videos.
I think there is. No, there was. There was definitely a video for Sing for Absolution. And I think it was them in space.
I think Matt sings this one so well. I mean, he sings them all really well, but like there's just something about like the higher notes and the range for this particular song, and the chorus really fits his voice very well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think he plays, and whenever he plays the piano sort of ballads, he always explores that Freddie Mercury side of him, which he's just got an immense range and he really shows off his falsetto at this point. Yes, yeah. I have just got the video up on YouTube on the side. There, I'm pointing at the screen for those that obviously there's no visual with Tammy's podcast, but they are in space.
Okay,
space suits.
I don't remember this, but again, I don't actively watch music videos, so I'm.
You see, do you know? I think this is where I still watch music videos at my computer. And I think it goes back to the old days of Kerrang TV, MTV, in the UK, Scuzz, which was a weird offshoot music channel. And it's where I used to sort of find all my new music, obscure bands And I just remember like all the videos coming out, and I used to get excited because a music video come out and then it'd be in relation to the song. Whereas this now, music videos are not really a thing. It's all just about radio play. But I love a good music video. Always like I like a good track, like a physical CD. Remembering all of these little intricate things about different songs. Sorry, I keep going off.
Yeah, no, that's fine. What's interesting about music videos is even back in the day, I don't care for music videos because 95% of the time it has nothing to do with the meaning of the song.
Yeah.
And they hire actors and actresses who are not the band. Like, so you don't even see the band like half the time. Then it has nothing to do with the album, song 95% of the time. And then I'm like, well, and then they're lip syncing because it's a music video. I'm like, what's the point? Like, what is the point? It takes away from the enjoyment of the actual song. Like if you're gonna have lyrics, have the music video be something about it. Like, it just drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, I cannot handle it. I can't. I just can't do it.
I know where you're coming from. I understand about the whole lip syncing thing. But one thing I always like is this. I always think a good music video has a good story behind it. So Sing for Absolution, actually, just going back to that music video, they're like, I think they're on a space, like a battleship. And I think there's like missiles going off in the intro. Well, there was missiles going off in the intro and things like that. And obviously Absolution is like the end, isn't it? You know, Sing for the end. Or that's my interpretation. I don't know if that is the correct. But it's just... like, I love a good music video with a story behind it. Like, time is running out. There's the clock in the background. So a good music video serves its purpose. I agree. I've watched some music videos and gone, that doesn't fit what they're doing. I get that. Like Panic Station by Muse. That's off the Second Law. Now, that was them wandering around Tokyo and they were doing stupid things, like funny shapes and... I don't really get that video, but I like it, if that makes sense. I quite like it, you know. I think Muse could release anything and I'd probably like it, really. Even what I consider to be their worst album, I still listen to because they've still got good songs off it. They've still got good songs.
And there's a story with every album too, you know.
Yeah.
So Stockholm Syndrome, you already talked about that. I did not realize was their first.
I didn't know, actually. That's the order is, according to a website here, is Stockholm Syndrome, Time is Running Out, then Hysteria, Sing for Absolution, Apocalypse Please. Didn't know that was a single either. And then Butterflies and Hurricanes, which I have seen the video to that as well, which is really good. Stockholm Syndrome is just an awesome riff, you know, and it's very it typifies what I love about Muse. Big riff, catchy bass lines, great lyrics. It's got that element of heaviness to it, which it's not metal, it's heavy rock, hard rock. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. And it's listenable. Even 20 years on, it still sounds fresh. It doesn't age. It's timeless. It's a classic. You know? Yeah. It's just a brilliant... It typifies what I love about Muse. As a fan, what I love about Muse.
When I was younger, when I first had this album, Butterflies and Hurricanes was my favorite song off of it. But as I've aged and I've heard it like a bajillion times, the album, it's hard for me to really pick a favorite.
Yeah,
I have favorite moments in every song or favorite bits and everything. I'm just like, oh, this is amazing and this is amazing and that's amazing. I love different things for different reasons. Like I love Stockholm Syndrome because it's heavy. I love Butterflies and Hurricanes because of that break where Matt just like totally goes into the piano and just flies on it. You know, I love the interlude. And it's just gorgeous. And I cannot imagine this album without it. It's 37 seconds of beauty, you know, extra beauty that we get to get.
I think that's the beauty of the way that Muse play. You go from that really heavy song to something really chilled, you know?
Yeah.
And I do like Falling Away with You. I do. It's a nice song. It's probably my least favorite off the album. I would argue Falling Away With You is probably my, I'd go, it's my weak, it's the one that I would often skip, mainly because Hysteria's next. And again, the build up from the interlude, and it's like, oh, we're building, and then I mean, I can always remember playing that in a covers band a few years ago, or like many years ago now. It just got like everyone's like, oh, I love Hysteria, I love it. You know, in fact, we got to play 10 seconds. Let's just play 10 seconds. No, it's not. Let's not do it.
They're gonna have to imagine it.
But when you hear that, you're just like, ah, and then the guitar comes in with the slide. It's beautiful. It's just a great song.
Which songs are your favorite to play? Which Muse songs are your favorite to play? Any of them?
I'm not good enough to play half of Muse songs.
Even if it's just for fun.
I'm not a very good lead guitarist. I'm more of a rhythm guitarist, so I'm not very good at solos. That's my issue. Again, this goes back to what we were talking about before I come on. I just often so busy, I don't have time. And then today, which is Sunday, I just like to relax. And playing guitar is part of me relaxing, but to actually get stuck into learning something really hardcore and learning it perfect. Because if you're going to do it, you got to do it as perfect as possible. So that means me learning it to the nth degree and really wanting to get it right. I like playing Stockholm Syndrome. I can play that one because I can do the riff. I actually quite like playing Pressure off Simulation Theory. I also like playing Psycho off Drones. What else? Oh, Knights of Sidonia. Yeah, I think that's one. I could play that. Because that's not got a solo in it, so I can play that one. And I like the it's pretty simple to play.
Did you ever play that one on Guitar Hero?
Yes. I think we all played all the Muse songs on Guitar. Funny enough, though, I always think of Barracuda when I think of Guitar Hero by heart.
Yeah.
That
was like Guitar Hero 2, right?
I don't know. They all mush into one. I broke my guitar because I played it that much. My wife's got a repetitive wrist injury. She's got a wrist injury from playing too much Guitar Hero.
Wow, that's a thing?
Yeah. I think I always tell you a little offshoot. I used to play it. Me and my friends in my old band, Ape, used to play it. And the guitarist, or the bassist at the time, used to say, you're going to play? And he's like, no, I've just played the guitar. Why would I learn? And I'm like, now I sort of get it. I actually get it, what he meant. I don't know why we all wasted our time playing Guitar Hero when the guitarist was playing Guitar Hero. And it's like, you play guitar, and he's like, yeah, but it's a game, and it's fun. And I'm like, now I sort of think to myself, and then they brought out that rock band where you plug, or Rocksmith or something, where you plug the guitar in and play it properly. So, sorry, going back to Muse. Favorite. If I can play it, I'll play it. I could also play Supermassive Black Hole. But that's got that stupid, weird, he's got that scratchy board thing on his guitar, hasn't he? That electronic thing Matt Bellamy has, where he plays, it's a black, it's like a scratch board on his, and he can play weird solos.
Oh,
with
yeah. I remember that
you know
now.
what I mean? So he did that, and so through that bit, I just sort of sit there waiting for him to finish, and then I play the next bit. Again, that's a good riff. That's catchy. It's not as heavy. It's more. There's not a lot of. There's not too much distortion on it, but no. So if I can play it, I'll play it. Is my answer to that question. Time is running out really hard because it's got weird chord structures in. Oh, Plug-in Baby! Completely forgot about Plug-in Baby. You can play that and Hysteria, but again, I can't do the solo for that. I've never learned the solo well enough. Laziness. Maybe I'll learn it. I'll stick it out on my YouTube channel.
There you go. I'm trying to find, I can't remember what album
Tell me which song, and I will tell you which album.
Unintended. What album was Unintended on?
You could be my own. See, that's got a bit of it's off the first album, Showbiz.
Okay, I love that song.
Yeah, I used to love it, but then my ex-girlfriend used to play it all the time, and I'm like, so I listened to it once every. So I loved that song, but she loved it, and she played it that much that every time I just sing it.
Oh no, she ruined it for you.
Completely ruined it. Like really.
No.
Ruined it. Women. Women. I'm joking. Men as well. All of us. Human beings. Don't get this issue with a dog. No, I mean, yeah, relationships are interesting. But yeah, I think, joking aside, I think we can all, I think every one of your listeners will have a song where they loved it and maybe they've broken up with someone or it reminds them of something. And as well, I don't know about you, but songs in general, if I hear a song, it reminds me of a certain time in my life, a certain scenario, maybe even a certain place. So, interestingly enough, I was on holiday in South Carolina with my family, and every time I listen to Runaway by Linkin Park, it reminds me of me being in an elevator in this hotel with my Walkman in my hand, walking out into the beach and going at night. And it's amazing. I can remember that very specific moment in my life. And that's what that song relates to. And that's why music is so important, because it helps us timeline things.
Yeah.
Memories.
That's amazing.
It is. I've got loads of scenarios like that. We haven't got time to go through more, but I'm just going to give you that one.
So let's see. We had Falling Away with You. Then Interlude. What are your thoughts on Interlude going into Hysteria?
I mean, it's needed. You know, it's just like a synth. Great. I think what's amazing is looking on Spotify right now, it's been played 12 million times. 12 million people have actually sat there and gone, I'm going to listen to this bit. If you're a purist, then of course, there is 12 million purists amongst us that listen to the interlude, the hardcore. Don't skip, just leave it.
Yeah. Like, I feel like the interlude and Hysteria are like ketchup and mustard, you know, like they go together.
Yeah. On a burger.
Like you can't have one without the other. Like it's not allowed.
But then there's a wonderful invention in the UK called brown sauce, which is better than both mustard and tomato sauce or red sauce. So have that, America.
There you go.
HP sauce for the win. All the brown sauces are available. Hysteria. It's a classic. It's definitely in their top 5 songs ever written. I'd argue it's their best song.
Ooh, ever so far?
I mean, I think if you, again, for purists that likes everything they've ever really done, I think I struggle to really go number 1. I like odd songs off different albums. Like Citizens Erased off Origins of Symmetry is class. It's a brilliant song. And it's heavy and it's heavily down-tuned. I really like the small print off Absolution.
That is really good, yeah.
I think Nights of Sidonia will always still be my favourite song off Black Holes and Revelation. That's not even a close. But I really like Undisclosed Desires off The Resistance.
That is a good one.
That's when they did the rapping, this like funk. And again, same with The Second Law. Supremacy, Madness, Survival, Animals. Animals is a really good, but again, I'd probably go Panic Station off that one. I'm trying to think. Top 5? Yeah, certainly. Number 1, it's a real toss-up between Nights of Sidonia, I don't know how you say it anymore. Hysteria, Stockholm Syndrome, Citizens Erased, Plug-in Baby. Nah, I think I'll go number 1 with Hysteria, their best song ever.
I need to listen to Black Holes and Revelations again because that's in my top. Like that one and Absolution and Origin of Symmetry are like basically tied for first. Well, I also really like Showbiz, but I mean, I guess Absolution is number 1 album for me simply because that was the first album I ever had of theirs.
Yeah.
So a little bit of like sentimentality there. But in terms of picking a very top song, like you picked Hysteria, like I don't think I could pick a very top song, but I really, really love from The Resistance their Exogenous Symphony, because I'm a
Yeah, I
classically
didn't like
trained musician.
that.
and there's just like something about it that I mean I love that personally.
I think that's your classical music.
It's my classical
influence.
background coming into there, loving it so much. I'm like, who does this? Who does this on a rock album? You know.
Oh, actually, hold on a second. No, I'm thinking of the stuff that they did off the Second Law. I will have a listen to it and I'll report back to you.
Okay, yeah.
I will
Let me
listen
know.
to the Resistance again. I think I might listen to all of the albums today now. You've just got me in the mood to go back through them all. I'm just thinking, how many hours will that take me? Each album is around 45 minutes. I think I've got the day. Let's do it.
There you go. You should just live stream it, Dan.
Yeah, I could do. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll just sit there. But saying that, do people want to sit there watching me drink coffee all day, listen to music, and probably talking to the dog? You know, because that's what. Yeah, and replying to work messages. Because, you know, it's a rock and roll lifestyle, this, you know. Blackout next. I'm going to take the lead on this one. Blackout.
Go for it.
Again, another. We've just gone through Heavy, Hysteria, the amazing solo. Certainly one that gets every crowd going whenever they play it. But Blackout's a nice song. Don't let it lose yourself, and it's just very atmospheric, and it fits nicely. And I think I'm presuming it's about. Obviously, we all know what a blackout is when you lose electronics, and if there's some sort of war, which there is at the moment, a lot going on in the world, it's almost, in some respects, I can imagine. Well, I can't imagine it to be enjoyable, but when it's still and everything's dark, it's quite calm, So, yeah, I do like Blackout. It fits. I do think all of them fit well. There's lots of string arrangements on it as well, and there's lots of things going on. That's what I like about Muse. I think they've never just been guitars and bass and vocals on piano. They've always added other things in there as well.
Yeah, what I love about Blackout is that it goes from that very heavy Hysteria, and it's almost a sensory overload.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know what you mean. I agree. You get a very, like I said, atmospheric vibe from it. One thing that are really, really good albums, maybe it's a bit too deep, but I do think with really good albums, you do get a good story from it. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to the lyrics, songs written with meaning are nice. Mm-hmm. I do like a song where you listen to the lyrics and you can almost understand what they're talking about, or there's certainly a thought process behind of what they're what they were thinking at the time. Some there's not. Some it's just written and there's no real meaning behind it. But then I remember listening to Chris Cornell said on one of his live album, or one of a Soundgarden live album, that music's so subjective, and you can interpret them your own way.
Mm-hmm,
you know?
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong interpretation sometimes to certain things. Because I think even if you ask a musician what is that about, they'll give you what they think it's about, and then you can say, "Oh, but I thought it was about this," and it's like, "Oh, well, yeah, So music can be interpreted in many ways.
Speaking of that, like I love, and the fact that, of course, Muse with every album tells a story. I like how with their musical elements for Hysteria and then going to Blackout, like Hysteria really feels very like anxious, and then Blackout is just like calm. And Matt's just soaring clear vocals and his falsetto and the orchestrations. And it is like literally, no pun intended, a switch has been flipped. Yeah.
And I think you get a lot of bands where they just, the sound is very linear and it's the same all the way through. They change the style of songs sometimes, but Muse, they change it up so much, And I think anyone that listens to this and doesn't know Muse maybe as well as we do, or as many as other people do, I think if they listen to it from start to finish and listen to how their sound progresses and how it changes and then it flips back a little bit. Because I would say that the newest album,
Will of the People?
Will of the People, thanks very much, I've forgotten it. You know, that sort of Kill or Be Killed, Won't Stand Down, those heavy songs are really like, they're old school Muse songs. They've got heavy riffs. They've even got a little bit of like growl vocals in there from Matt Bellamy, you know, which is very different. So they've tried to take all the best old stuff and put it into the new one. You know, there's a great song off that album called You Make Me Feel Like It's Halloween.
Oh, that is a very unique one.
I really like it. And I like the fact that they wear these masks at the moment. But the Will of the People is obviously to do with COVID and, you know, all that stuff.
I think it's interesting how they, like you said, they kind of got back to their roots. And I feel like it was almost like a follow-up to Absolution. Like if they didn't have anything in between, it would just go Absolution, Will of the People.
Yeah. No, and I think they brought it back a little bit with drones as well. But certainly, I think if I was to say to anyone listening that if they were to listen to Muse, you could certainly skip Simulation Theory, because I don't think that is. I don't know. I listen to it and I like listening to certain songs on it, but it doesn't feel like a Muse album.
It feels a little bit of a departure
from what they do. It doesn't feel like what Muse did, but they owned it and they did it well.
I feel like they were sort of experimenting.
Yeah, it's like an experimental album, but again, Muse being so big that they really did do well. You know, they still nailed it. Still nailed it.
Stuff that they would probably cut from their albums would be someone else's most amazing hit. You know? Yeah,
that's a really good point. I think if I wrote the album Simulation Theory or Second Law or Uprising, I think if you consider that they're probably what people consider their less popular albums, I won't say weak, because there's nothing weak about it.
No. Yeah.
If I wrote the album The Resistance or I wrote the album The Second Law, I would be like, this is great. And I think that's what's amazing about Muse, is you take it away from what they've done previously and they've owned it and they made it really good.
Blackout is one of my favorites, but again, it's hard to pick favorites with Muse. It really is. It's so hard.
Yeah, no, there's an abundance of quality. That is the thing. That's where I think this album, you know, Absolution, I think when you read through everything, there's something on there for everyone. And there's something on there that I think if you like piano and you like ballads and you don't necessarily like guitar-driven rock music, you know, then it has got something, and it's got amazing vocals. It's got amazing composing. It's well written. It was their first, you know, it was their big album. You know, it was aggressive. It was angry. It was polished. It took all the best bits from Origins of Symmetry and made it better. They had orchestras in there. You know, it was just very, very good. It was a great album.
It definitely takes genius to be able to not only write this, orchestrate it, the lyrics, the titling even is just brilliant in the way that the titles tell a story.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, like Butterflies and Hurricanes, you know, I think it starts off with the slow synthesizer, the ding, 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 and then it goes into the slow lyrics, you know, don't, you know, so it's very anthemic, and then it goes big, you know, when it goes, you know, the piano comes in and the guitar comes in, and it's the drums down, you know, and it almost builds, and then it drops back down again to the piano, and then it's like this 1 minute piano, almost like Beethoven-y, Tchaikovsky. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like an overture.
Yeah, like a concerto. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like a concerto. Thank you very much. Sorry, my classical music knowledge is not as it's not very good. So
That's okay.
I'll be honest with that. But obviously, back when piano music was just Mozart, that sort of thing.
I remember being just floored listening to the album for the first time, and you're already just amazed with every single track, one after another, like your jaw on the ground, and then you get to Butterflies and Hurricanes, and then in the middle of it is that solo, and it's like
that piano solo. Yeah
like in an age when like people putting out albums didn't usually write their own music or play their own instruments, and Muse does both, and then they drop that. It's just like, wow.
And
so
I think that
respect.
Typifies Matt Bellamy, multi-instrumentalist, amazing singer, amazing pianist, amazing guitarist, amazing songwriter, amazing producer, just very, very, very good at what he does. And what Muse do as a collective, because I think one thing we need to mention amongst all this is that 25 years, 30 years on, they've been going that long that there's the same three people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Matt Bellamy said in an interview once, I remember listening somewhere, that he said that he gets to do everything he wants to do in Muse because I think the others are so open to change and open to doing different things that people sometimes often go off and say, I need to do something a bit different now. Whereas in Muse, he's always got to achieve that, which is great,
Mm-hmm.
And then the small print, you listen to the lyrics, I'm going to sell your memories for, is it £50 per year? And it's like, you don't realize, you never read the small print and you don't realize what you're signing yourself up to.
Mm-hmm.
But the rift, again, that's just another Stockholm Syndrome, hysteria, heavy, angry. And I think it's the breakdown, and again, this sort of the instrumental middle bit, it's just and then what they do is they add in another layer of guitar, which really makes it explode. Just really good. Just, I really struggle up until this point. When you listen to this album, you're struggling to find a bad song at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there is one.
There isn't
all.
There isn't a bad song. I think even someone that doesn't like Muse would struggle to find a song that they don't really like. Well, I suppose if you don't like that music, you're not going to enjoy it. But just a great album. I think I must have said that about 900 times during this podcast now.
Well, it's true. It is just, it's phenomenal. I mean, not too many groups, and it almost seems like they're mostly out of Europe, but not too, at least from what I can tell. No offense to American bands, but maybe it's just the style of music.
Yeah.
But the groups out of Europe, when they play their own instruments and they compose their own songs, it's just phenomenal. And like every single song is worthy and timeless and ages well. And like you said, these songs could have been released yesterday and they'd still be relevant to the culture and what's happening in society, and relevant sound wise. Like they don't get stale, even if they experiment with other types of instruments, it doesn't sound dated in any way.
No, I think one thing that from an English perspective, as someone that, when he was young was in a band and wanted to try and become a musician and never, obviously didn't come to fruition. I think one thing, you always wanted to sort of break America. You wanted to be big all over the world and play American arenas and, Madison Square Garden, the United Center, to name a few. Soldier Field, I know that's the NFL. It's massive. But, you play these places and whereas as American bands, they don't really need to leave America. America's so big. You could play a 65-date tour in the US and still not go. You could play 10 of them over 10 years and probably never go back to the same place. Even take a smaller state like Illinois, for example. It takes, 8 hours, 9 hours to travel from the top of Illinois to the bottom, I think. I might be wrong. It might be less. But it is that big. You don't need to leave. I think there's a band called 311 that I used to listen to when I was younger. They've never left the US. They've never left. They've never toured. And I don't think they've really toured anywhere else, because I really like them and they just didn't leave the US. They just stayed there. So you don't need to if you're an American band, you don't really need to leave. Look at Elvis. I know that was other things, but he just never left the US.
Mm-hmm.
He never went. He stayed in America, obviously under false pretenses because of his manager who was ripping him off, gambling addict. But ultimately, he made a successful career out of just playing in America, touring in America, making money from America. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So being British and musicians, you always wanted to achieve, and you always wanted to write great music. And I think there was a lot of, it's always football in the UK is intertwined with politics. Music is intertwined with politics. All the punk, all the, the rock era from the 70s and the 80s was all written. Sex Pistols, we're so pretty, vacant. Johnny Rotten swearing on radio because he managed to twist the word vacant into another word. British music there's always been a reason behind it. So yeah, I know where you're coming from with that one.
Yeah. It seems like music from Britain, British bands, you hold yourselves to a higher standard and a higher esteem, and maybe it is because you want to break out, so you have the higher bar, or is it because everything is so tied, like you said, to the politics, or is it a mixture?
I think it's a mixture. When I did my 4 divided by 2 EP, that was quite politically written. There was a lot. It was just coming out of. It was written before COVID over Brexit, which is a mess, complete mess. Also, you leaving the European Union, so a lot of it was behind that, and lots of thoughts going on. So I always try to write songs with meanings, but yeah, there was always a political element. And I think anyone that says that, then, especially nowadays, if I'm not interested in politics, well, okay, yeah, you might not be interested in politics hardcore, knowing exactly what's going on. But if you don't, you'll find yourself being fed a load of nonsense, or just believing what you read through the tabloid newspapers, through Facebook memes, Facebook news, politically motivated news outlets, not naming many, but Fox News one comes to me in America, which just doesn't seem to be, from everything I've watched and analysed, I'm like, well, that's wrong. That's biased, or that doesn't give the full picture. The media always only ever gives that much. And you need to see that, You need to see the whole. You can't just look through a shoebox or through a pinhole, because if you look through a pinhole, you won't see the full picture. You need to see it in widescreen, and see and understand context. And that's where music creatively, you can express yourself and you can get your opinions across. And what I've always liked about Muse, bringing it back into Muse, is they've always been political. They've always had opinions, and they've always written songs to match what's going on. I mean, the whole will of the people is obviously about COVID and about lies and about things that people spreading misinformation. But I think it was always done a little bit subtly, which I like. You don't know exactly what they're talking about, but you can relate to what's going on. And I think, again, that's another thing that makes some musicians more successful than others. When you find music relatable, you listen to a song and you can relate to what that person is talking about, or what they're singing about, or what they're writing about, That's why WAP by Megan Thee Stallion doesn't relate to me, because it's a load of crap, in my opinion, personally. There's 1.2 billion people that have listened to that, or 1.2 billion streams. So people must like it. But then again, there's that time when you just want to be removed from music and you just want it to be joy and enjoyable, where there's no meaning behind it. Like The Darkness, I believe in a thing called love. My number one karaoke song, because everyone thinks it's funny to sing. And when I do hit the falsetto notes, it's great. People are like, oh my God, that guy could sing. That guy's got a voice. He's got some pipes on him. So when you sing it, and I believe in a thing called love, that's amazing. There's not a lot behind that. It's pretty straight down the middle, So yeah, there you go. That's gone off. That went off piece, that, didn't it? That went crazy.
That's okay. I love that. I love you spoke so eloquently about that, and you brought up so many great points. That music can serve so many different purposes, and sometimes you do need those silly, meaningless songs that you can just belt out at a karaoke bar or just sing in the car on a Friday when your brain is just mushy, and then other times you need things like Muse where you want to just dig deeply into societal issues from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that music has always written a story for people. And I think music has always been relatable for people, like I said. So, yeah, I think it's important that you always have that connection.
Speaking of connection, the next song, Endlessly, kind of a love ballad. Like the lyrics are just beautiful.
It's a very slow song.
It is.
It's not a lot. I think it's just mainly synthesizers, vocals, and the sort of light drums. I don't remember this one as well. I think once you get towards the end of the album, it does taper off a little bit. I would say that these are your 3 less popular songs on the album. I think after the small print. So yeah, no, I do like Endlessly. And I'll do like, again, it's a ballad. And yeah, it probably is to do with, maybe to do with love. I don't know. I don't know the meaning behind that one.
You brought up a great point because when I was listening to this, because I listened to it fully in its entirety, loud and without interruption, as one should. And when I got to the last 4, like after Butterflies and Hurricanes, like I was like, okay, wow. It was like I was already taken on a journey and I almost needed a breather, but there was 4 more songs.
You get to the point where you're listening to the whole album and you think that the small print would be a good finisher, but then it keeps going and you've got, Endlessly, which is this sort of ballad, they got the, and it starts off with a little, I remember it now. Now it's coming back to me. It's very much a love ballad. It's obviously quite a war-driven album, if we're going to say that. I still think it's memorable and I enjoy it. I don't know if they've ever played it live.
I don't recall. I mean, I've only been to 2 concerts, so I wouldn't know.
I've been to a lot. More. I don't think I've ever heard it being played live. There's a website where you can get the setlist.com, or setlist.fm. I think it's setlist.fm. And you can go in and you can actually look. And basically every single set list in the world you can find. But if you put in Muse and you can search, and it'll tell you what songs and how many times they've played. You can sort of filter by how many times they've played how many gigs they've done in a year. And you can actually see what they've done. And I think if you actually go into the artist itself, you can see what songs they've played the most and what songs they've played the least.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this goes way back.
Yeah, it really does. And I'm trying to find how you get what you can find what their most played song is and what their least played song is and things like that. I'm actually on the website now and I can't.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I found the
gig,
the one that I saw because of this website. I found the one that I saw.
There you go. You see, it honestly, it really is good. In fact, that reminds me. As I do on my podcast, I will do Tammy and I are searching through a website at the moment to try and find relatable information to what we're talking about. Here we go. Right. So Muse at Wembley Arena. Yeah, they played 3 days, the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. Right. And I'm trying to see if it says who the support acts were. Tour stats. Maybe it's got tour stats.
Oh my gosh. Are these pictures?
With. Here we go. Oh, no. See, it doesn't always say, but sometimes it says who like the support acts were. Honestly, but really good website.
This is amazing.
I mean, they played some massive gigs. They played Marley Park. They played like Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Argentina. They played some huge gigs on this tour, like literally all over the world. Oh, they did that Muse at the Teenage Cancer Trust, which I went there. That was in Royal Albert Hall in London. Like Lisbon, Cape Town, Johannesburg, like proper, this is all over the world. Like this is global, man. Like, this is a proper world tour. Obviously, it's crazy. Sorry, completely
It's
gone.
Okay. I'm like really excited to see this set list from a concert I went to like so long ago.
I think I'm really glad that I only like obsess over a handful of bands. Like really, because imagine obsessing over you get these super fans where they just travel the world and just go and see everything. They buy everything. They just put their whole life, like spare cash, into just following a band.
It's interesting. They came to Houston over the summer, this past summer, and they were.
You didn't go.
I didn't go. One of my other favorite bands growing up was Evanescence, and they were opening for Muse, and you would think I would go, right?
Yeah.
Because I've seen both of those bands. It was weird. I just wasn't feeling it. I was like, I don't like anything Evanescence did after Open Door.
You'd have been all right once you got there.
And
it's an English joke. It's a bit like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. Oh, I don't want to go there. Oh, but you'll be all right when you're there. Like it's some mysterious thing.
That is such an English attitude about it too.
You'll be fine when you get there.
Yeah, I regret it. I really do. I was like, dang it, because it was two bands that were so influential that I absolutely love, and I didn't go, and I should have gone, and I don't have too many music regrets, but that's one of them.
I'm actually really jealous because I would have loved them to come to Dubai, but they haven't. They went to Malaysia, and I was umming and ahhing about tying it in with a holiday, but then it was at a time when I couldn't go, and we were busy at work and things like that. Yeah. That's the problem with living in this part of the world. Obviously, not living in the UK anymore or living in England anymore. There's a challenge to sort of. I went to see Robbie Williams the other day. He was brilliant. I love Robbie Williams.
I do like him, yeah.
I like Robbie. And Kiss was supposed to come, but they cancelled for reasons well known on TV. But never mind. It is what it is. Okay, so thoughts of a dying atheist.
Yes, second to last song.
Second to last song. This song, I've listened to it a few times, many times, and I don't really know what it's about. It's just a good song. Again, it's guitar driven. So yeah.
I love the chorus so much. I can just hear Matt's voice in my head.
Yeah.
Chorus, and he rhymes, and he doesn't rhyme too often.
Yeah. Scares the hell out of me. And the end is all I can say. I can sing better than this. Just not like that. But it is, but it's got another good instrumental in the middle of it all. This is one thing that's really good about this album, and I think it typifies what it was really well produced, well written, well orchestrated. In the fact that it's very polished, it's very gritty and very angry. Listen to the first two albums, Showbiz and Origins of Symmetry. There is elements of rawness that they didn't have. Obviously, budgets increase when you're successful. So you can spend a little bit more on production because you'll get a bit more back from the CD. You can spend a bit more on the producer. You can spend a bit more on you can take your time with it. You can polish things. Like anything, if you've got a bit of time, a bit of extra time and a bit more money, I always think time and money, they sort of go hand in hand, really. Mm-hmm. Especially when it comes to musical production. Unless you do what like Guns N' Roses did with the Chinese Democracy, where it took 15 years to make, and it was okay. I think if you gave me 15 years to write an album, to be fair, I've been saying I was going to write a new album for 4 divided by 2 for about 5 years now, and it's just so I might get to Chinese Democracy length of time before I actually get my ass into gear and write something.
Maybe this will inspire.
Look at me going all Axl Rose. And then final track, Ruled by Secrecy, which again is a super slow, eerie, piano-driven concerto, epic, everything. And this is what I love about Muse. They often finish on these big piano ballads. They didn't do it on Black Holes and Revelations, obviously. They did Nights of Sidonia. But I think if anyone wants something that I think polarizes Muse from, say, Stockholm Syndrome to Ruled by Secrecy, this shows the width of Muse at their best, I think. And if you take out the electronic stuff and the dancey type stuff and the techno-y 80s stuff. Because I don't think that that's true Muse, but it is still Muse. If you look at that polarization, this, for me, Ruled by Secrecy, I think is an amazing track. And it's a wonderful finish to the real album.
Yeah. When you push through the last 3 or 4 songs, and it's not even really a push through, it's just, you're just like, oh wow, there's more. They're not done, which is amazing. And Ruled by Secrecy is just such a wonderful top off to I can't say phenomenal enough. Phenomenal album. Yeah. I can't imagine any other song to end it with. Like, you can't go in any order. I mean, yes, there's bonus tracks on certain discs, but that's not the same. That's not the same. Like, this is the actual finish, and it's perfect. It is absolutely perfect. And then, I don't know if it happens to you, but like, as soon as you finish with it, you sort of like take like a giant sigh, and then you want to press play all over again from the beginning.
Do you know, I'm just going to touch on a point though that I think you made. You made an interesting point before, Tammy, that the way that people listen to music and digest music has changed. I actually have spoken about this on my channel a lot. The way that we digest music is different now. The concept of writing an album, touring it, so writing an album, releasing singles, releasing the album, touring it, those days are sort of gone now. People don't digest large portions of anything anymore. If you look at the way that we are as a society, without going too deep, we are a bit of a throwaway society. You get a TV, it breaks, you buy a new one, you chuck it in the trash, you don't repair it. You get a new, you have a pair of trainers, the laces snap, you might not replace the laces. People might just go and buy a new pair of shoes because they can't be bothered buying a new pair of laces. You look at what goes viral now on social media in the way of music, it's very much based on singles. Radio play, get the singles in. People do release albums still, but it's not, the album cycle is almost, it's dying a little bit. And it's a shame, really, because you can't beat a good album. I don't believe you can beat a good album cycle, personally. I love an album cycle. I really do. But I just think that, I just think that's the way that the world is going a little bit. We don't digest music, like I said, we don't digest the music the same way we used to anymore. And the idea of listening to an album all the way through, people don't do it. They skip. They want to listen to they listen to a song on repeat. They'll listen to WAP, or they'll listen to, I don't listen to a lot of radio music. I don't listen to the radio very often. I don't either. And I listen to an album. The idea of an album cycle and a music, it's slowly but surely being removed, if that makes sense.
That's too bad. It's almost like we're evolving away from it.
I still think people that truly love me, people say, "Oh, I like music," and it's like, well, what do you like? And this is purely my opinion here, by the way. This isn't. People say, "Oh, I like music." Oh, well, what do I like? I like The Killers, and I like Cardi B, or I like Taylor Swift, right? And you're like, "Oh, that's great," And it's like you sort of ask them, have you ever heard of this band, or have you ever heard of this musician, it's only everything that's played on the radio. It's what they're fed, and they never go and. I don't think some people actually go and I actively go and look for new bands to listen to. Sometimes they just present themselves. You're like, oh my God, have a lot. So there's a band, like a djent metal band called Periphery, a single they're called Atropot, and it's very heavy. It come up on a mix that after a CD had finished, it just started playing this. And Spotify sometimes pushes you down listening to the same thing. But then if you listen to something a bit different, it presents you new music. And I think it's just such a wonderful thing to listen to something new. And that's the great thing about music. We don't digest albums like we used to. We like singles. There's so many people that have released a single and become big from a single, and then they don't really write anything of note for a while or ever again.
I will say, in terms of people who are of the younger generation, like Billie Eilish has done a great job with albums, and like a complete album that has a variety of songs that showcase her talent and her brother's writing abilities, and it's great to see.
I've never listened to anything by Billie Eilish, by the way. Billie Eilish. Eilish? Eyelash? Eilish. Billie Eilish. Sorry, Billie Eilish. I didn't mean to offend your surname. I think it's because I always joke that I call her Billie Eilish.
Do you like her?
I've never listened to any Billie Eilish music.
Or maybe you have and you didn't know.
I couldn't tell you a single song by Billie Eilish. Maybe if I've listened to it. See, this is the problem. I put Billie into my Spotify and Billie Talent comes up first. Now, Billie Talent are amazing. They're a great punk band. Billie Eilish has 67.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
She's so good. She is so
amazing.
Good. Yeah. And I am so particular. Like, when it comes to buying a CD, I don't buy CDs too often anymore. But when I do, it's because I am so impressed with the level of artistry. So I have bought Billie Eilish. I've bought Melody Gardot. I've bought Shawn Mendes. I thought that Shawn Mendes is like from.
I don't know any of these people.
Really? You don't know any of these people? Oh.
I think I've heard of Shawn Mendes. I mean, I've heard of Billie Eilish, and I've heard of Cardi B. Maybe I just sound really old. Maybe I really am old. It's coming to bite me on the ass here. I remember back in my day, we all used to listen to this band. No, I'm turning to my parents. Back in the 50s. Oh, crikey. I wasn't even alive then, Mum.
The fact that Absolution is turning 20, I'm like, what? How is that possible?
Horrified. I'm absolutely mortified. I know. Going back to what you were saying about particular bands and how you follow them and become a bit of a purist, I think the problem is I don't find a lot of worth in radio pop music nowadays. I think a lot of it all sounds the same. I think of a lot of it's auto-tuned. I think of a lot of them, it's overproduced. It's made I think a lot of it's bland. I think a lot of it's quite boring. I absolutely don't really like R&B either. And I think that's a really subjective comment, because R&B is probably one of the most popular genres of music in the world, and same with rap music. I like elements of rap because I like Limp Bizkit, or I like Linkin Park, or I like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who all rap elements in their music. And the essence of guitar-driven music is, it has slowly declined. It's not. I would never say it dies, because you're always going to get someone that wants to learn to play guitar or learn an instrument, but its popularity has waned over the years, and we are due another a resurgence of guitar-driven music, because that did happen. The Britpop music, Oasis, Verve, Blur, those sort of massive rock bands, like humongous, wrote some great songs, and it is due to come back round again at some point. Whether it will, who knows? But I don't find a lot of value in what is being made at the moment. Like I said, maybe it's just because I really don't like pop music, or I like Robbie Williams, or I do like elements of pop music, but it's not my first genre, and I don't think it ever will be. But I don't know. I just listen to the radio and I want to turn half of it off.
Yeah, I don't listen to the radio often, but there are, like I said, there are just a select few younger / fresher artists out there now who I'm just really blown away with.
No, and that's the thing. You can go away and you can look at other. There's so many amazing musicians out there, and I think I again, another one of my podcast guests told me that only something like 1% of all music on Spotify is listened to. 1%. That's a colossal amount of music that's not listened to. It's a lot. Like, for example, I suppose if you look at it this way, how many bands have released music, put it on Spotify, put it on a I say Spotify as an example. Other streaming services are available. How many of you actually really go and like? How many bands have sort of just disappeared, not performed anymore? Small bands, like little bands that no one's even ever heard of, local bands, because that's the beauty of social media now. A little band from some village in the UK or some little outback town in the US, middle of Texas, that no one's ever heard of, from, I don't know, Grain County. I'm making this up. And they put music on Spotify and they go and do a little bit of a tour and then they all fall out and they don't ever play music again. But that's out in the big bad world. Anyone can listen to that. The whole world has access to it. But they're only from a little town in the middle of Texas and no one's ever heard of them. And no one ever will hear of them, really. But someone can go and find that. And that's what I do like about Spotify. That's what I almost like about streaming. That's why I wish streaming services would just do a little bit better when it comes to musicians. Even if you do it on a tier structure of paying the top artists what they deserve, paying middle artists, if you hit over 1 million streams, you should get paid X amount of money. I'm not the little guy. Okay. He gets 100 monthly listeners and he doesn't really make a lot of money from it. You're not big yet. When you get big, it should pay your wages. It should, we go to work and I expect a level of pay. A musician is pouring creative energy into this and they don't get recompensed the way they should. It's travesty. But it's also indicative of what we've created. We want everything now. Amazon, delivered the same day. Delivery services, I don't have to leave my house. I can literally get everything delivered here today, especially in Dubai, in the UAE, without leaving the house. Xbox games, downloadable. Food shop, deliverable. Food takeaway service, deliverable. Alcohol, deliverable. Everything deliverable. Everything now. I want it now. Well, listen to a song, I want it now. I don't want to wait for the next series of The Rookie to come out on NBC. I want to go find it now on the internet. A legal stream. Hey, it's now. And that's indicative of where we've come with music, of that we listen to one song. We've got a very closed opinion of it all.
Yeah. You bring such a great point, because with that instant, and obviously not everyone's like this, but the ability to have something instantaneous, it makes it hard, I think, for artists who take time between albums.
Yeah. 100%.
I imagine they must feel immense pressure to do something or to provide something in the interim.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you've drawn on another point that I always talk about, that the music cycle. That's why the single cycle works better, because there's not a train. There's not the circle cycle. It's just it's a dip. It's a continuous line of single release, drop, promote, and you're always staying relevant. But if you look at massive artists like Ed Sheeran, like Muse are massive, stadium artists. During COVID, they were lucky. They did Simulation Theory, and they were due a break in 2020. So they are big enough, they can turn around to their record label and say, no, we're doing an album, we're going to tour it, we'll make you an absolute ton of money, we'll make ourselves a ton of money, if we're looking at it from a very real perspective. And then what we'll do is we'll come back in a year's time, we'll write a new album. Because you've generated enough revenue for everyone to be happy for that pie. Everyone's been fed from the pie. But essentially, Ed Sheeran took 2 years off because he's massive. But normal musicians can't do that. Even if you took a band that's maybe, I don't know, I think of a mid-level band that I like, that's not playing arenas, that from America, Story of the Year,
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, I love Story of the Year. They released a new album last year, brilliant, really good, tear me to pieces, an amazing album. I listened to it from start to finish. It is an absolute classic. It's back to their best. They are unreal. Add it to your list. And I can't imagine that they're making millions and millions of pounds. I can imagine they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars from a tour. I don't know. I don't know their financial situation, and they're full-time musicians, so they must be enjoying life, but they have to do the cycle. You know, they're probably not rich enough to be able to take 3 years off or 2 years off and tell their record label that they want to wait. You know, there's a lot of power from the executives in record labels, and it's one of those things that if you're big enough, you can dictate what you do, but it's the other way around, and that's the majority. You know, the pyramid. There's a reason it's called a pyramid. You know, the top make all the money and they have the success, and then but there's a bigger space at the bottom for everyone to fit. You know, but if you take away that bottom end of the pyramid, it all collapses because you're not having your feed. You know, you need those little bands, and that's where, if you can, go out and support your local bands. Go out and support, because you're supporting the next Muse, the next Cardi B, the next Billie Eilish, the next Michael Jackson, the next Elvis. You know, go out and absorb new music. Go out and listen to something new instead of just listening to. Let me think of another artist that I can pick on. Instead of listening to what's the name of that rapper, Jay-Z or Eminem, who have made it. They're huge. Oh, Drake's a good one. You know, instead of listening to Drake, listen to the new rapper. If you love rap music, listen to the new rapper, the new guy that's little, that's not there yet, to make him to the next Drake, you know? Do it. Yeah. Do it for me. Even though I don't like rap music.
But really, that is such a great point, though. You know, supporting local musicians, local bands. This is why music in schools is so important, because you never know what a person might aspire to be and where their natural talents take them, you know?
Well, exactly. Yeah. The Red Hot Chili Peppers made me want to get into a band. That was the band that made me want to be in a band. I loved Anthony Kiedis. I also loved Muse at the time. Anthony Kiedis, Matt Bellamy, and Chris Cornell. They were the three musicians that made me want to be a singer. Made me want to dance around on a stage like a divvy, flinging my microphone stand around my head and nearly wiping out everyone in my path. You know? And Freddie Mercury. Sorry, Freddie.
Love Freddie.
Love Freddie. That was it. They were the ones that made me want to be a singer. And I'm still a singer. I'll always be a singer.
That's right.
You know?
Before we wrap up, thoughts.
We've gone off on a major tangent here. Sorry.
I love it though. I love it. Before we wrap up, thoughts on the cover art. I have thoughts, but share yours first.
Well, it's a man with a mask and a load of. You see, the thing is as well, are they ghosts that he's seeing, or are they or are they like actual people flying over his head? That is the question. And as well, you brought me to another point about physical albums and copies, artwork. When you used to buy a new album from a CD, you used to go to HMV or Virgin Megastore, because I think you guys have Virgin Megastore. And HMV is a UK brand that sells CDs, electronic games, and stuff like that. You used to go and buy the album. You used to get excited, and you used to open the little booklet and flick through the booklet and look, and you'd be like, "Oh, it's new!" And you'd have 1,000 CDs racked up in your cupboard or on a rack or something like that, you know. And you put them all in alphabetical order, because anything else is disgraceful and deserve to get in the bin if you don't do that. Because how are you supposed to find it quickly if you put them out of sync? Oh, that hurt me when people used to have CDs and they'd be like, "Oh, just need to find this album. Well, it's in the A section, isn't it?" No, I don't have an organization structure. And at that point, my brain would melt, stand there rejigging it. But joking aside, an album cover was exciting, and it meant something, you know. But I think a man with it's the end of the world. It's Absolution. Maybe it's the end.
I'm going to go a half a step further. What if it's a picture of rapture? Like from the Bible, you know? Like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, it could be an interpretation of that.
Turn it sideways, the other way. That's it. No, the other way. You turned it upside down. No, other way. One more. That's it. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, end of the
Maybe.
world.
I'm not particularly religious, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Another thought I was thinking, maybe aliens?
I still think dead bodies flying over, like ghosts. Is there anything on the internet?
Oh, no. Oh, what kind of rabbit hole are you going to pull up?
Here we go. Bellamy said, hey, let me just go into Wikipedia. Let's cheat. Wikipedia. Okay. Bellamy said that absolution was not necessarily a religious word. It has purity. Not taking talkings from Christianity in particular as a religion. I think just suggesting that the act of making music is a way of understanding things. Absolution is one of two musics to feature artwork by... Oh, it's by Storm Thorgerson. Thorgerson.
Didn't he do like Pink Floyd's album?
Pink Floyd, he did. The ambiguous falling floating image is similar to, according to the artwork, can either be seen as people coming down to Earth or leaving Earth as open to interpretation. Yeah, the end. Or people coming to attack. We are. See, and I think that's a great little way to end. Music, life, lyrics, anything is all open to interpretation. And no one is certainly right or wrong in this scenario. Music is one of those things that you can, and sport for me, those two. You can go to any, I could go to Japan, I could go to America, I could go to South Africa, I could go to any continent in the world and talk about music, and I'll find someone who will know what I'm talking about. I can talk about football, sport, Manchester United, my team, painful to watch at the moment, like literally torture. Don't know why I do it to myself, but hey, sometimes you just got to stick with it, yeah? But you relate, you and I, thousands of miles away, I think 9,000 distance, and we have found a topic that we just love to talk about, and it's took us all down a rabbit hole, and that's the amazing thing about music. I think the world would be an immensely sad place without musicians, without music, without people that create art, poetry, drama, TV, film, whatever your passion is, whether it's drawing a picture or writing a song, I don't know, just writing words on a piece of paper. Excuse me. Sorry,
Winnie
that's my
agrees.
Winnie agrees. So that's it. I think what ends up happening is it's a rabbit hole that you can go down, and that whatever your creative vibe is, because everyone's got something that's relatively creative to them. I believe everyone has got something in there that's creative to them, whether it's gardening, landscaping, organizer, anything. It's their level of creation. Cooking, baking, it's all expression of ourselves. So whatever your creative vibe is, keep doing it and keep hopefully making yourself happy and driving life.
Dan, you had such great thoughts there at the end. A wonderful way to wrap up. Thank you for joining me for this Muse podcast. Love for you to come on and we could talk about other bands in the future or other music related topics. So thank you.
Hey, listen, you want me to come on anytime, I will do it. Tammy, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you inviting me. I know I ramble on and waffle a little bit. I've got lots of opinions when it comes to music and how the musical world is, but thank you very much. And apologies again about Winnie. Oh,
it's a good thing she's cute, right?
She is adorable. That is the worst thing. She is adorable. Like, she has got a face that would melt many a heart.
That's right.
Mainly mine. Every day gets away with murder. So yeah, but thank you very much for having me on. I've really enjoyed talking to you about Muse and music and everything Muse related. Maybe we should do another album.
That would be wonderful. Yes.
Let's do another album.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. And listeners, please check the show notes for links to where you can buy Muse's 20th anniversary version of Absolution. And lots of other great things. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Like the show? Have a question? Stop by the Facebook and Instagram pages. Links are in the show notes, or search for Creative Piecemeal Podcast on social media and click follow for all the latest.